minutes. I was reached out to by Mayor Vince Lago from the city of Coral Gables. Mayor Lago, thank you for being with us here today, and I will honor you. He's requested like 25 minutes to speak, but I told him that he will very generously receive about 3 minutes to speak. So please stay within the 3 minutes, Mayor. You're a dear friend and a respected colleague. And I hate to say thank you. When I say thank you, that means your time is up. So please don't make me get to thank you.
Thank you, sir. Good morning. Thank you to the chairman, the vice chair, esteemed members of the County Commission. My name is Vince Lago. My address is 5200 San Amaro Drive. That is my residence. And I'm here today in my personal capacity as a taxpayer and resident to bring to the board's attention a serious ethical concern involving a staff member at Miami-Dade County Commission of Ethics. The Commission on Ethics is facing a significant credibility problem stemming from the conduct of one of its investigators, Karl Ross. The Broward State Attorney recently issued a closeout memo explicitly citing Ross for having, and I quote, credibility issues, end quote, as a witness due to his, and I quote, limited familiarity with relevant laws, end quote. More troubling to me is the fact that about 2 years ago, my attorneys made a public records request to the Commission on Ethics after the closing of a matter under initial review, and despite receiving a large file in response, certain key documents were omitted intentionally. How do I know this? Because documents not provided to me appeared subsequently in litigation I was involved in. It was shocking to learn that somehow those documents were in possession of the defendant in the lawsuit, but not in mine, even though those documents should have been provided by the COE as part of our public records request. One of those documents was an internal email from Ross to his superior about me. Yesterday, I spoke with the Attorney General of Florida and shared with him the same concerns I am sharing with all of you today. These facts are not secret. They have been reported by media. However, to my knowledge, the Commission on Ethics has taken no action to review its protocols or procedures or even acknowledge there may be an issue with the way that Ross has been handling matters assigned to him. This board, the County Commission, holds the power of the purse over the Commission on Ethics, and I urge you to exercise oversight in this matter. The COE cannot credibly enforce ethics standards in our community if its own staff are potentially disregarding the rules and using their positions to target individuals based on personal bias or affiliations. Finally, through the clerk, I will provide a copy of the process server's report documenting an attempt to serve Mr. Ross with a subpoena in my lawsuit. The report is brief, only 2 paragraphs, but it contains alarming accounts of verbal and physical threats, including the following from the female process server reports. And I quote, "The man that was in the vehicle saw me and started running towards me on the other side of the gate with a large hammer or pipe or some type of long cylindrical weapon that he was swinging around wildly in a threatening manner," end quote. The man the female process server was referring to was Miami-Dade Commission on Ethics investigator Karl Ross. I want to thank you for your time. I hope we will be able to work together to avoid having someone else go through this similar issue. Thank you, God bless, and I'm eternally grateful for your service to the community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you for staying on time. Appreciate it. All right. Commissioner Gilbert, you recognize.
I don't know where we go with that, but that's mildly disturbing. And so I don't know, because I haven't looked into what our purview is to look into these things. But I would suggest, I see 2 other lawyers' hands up, so maybe they know. But I don't know what, but I think probably it requires us to look at something.
Commissioner Cohen-Higgins.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I echo the sentiment of my colleague, Commissioner Gilbert. When something like this is brought to our attention, I think we have an obligation to further look into it, although I'm not sure of what the appropriate vehicle is. And so to the county attorneys, the question that I have is a rather simple one. Obviously, we have the Commission on Ethics that investigate us and others in our community to make sure that guidelines are being followed. Who investigates the Commission on Ethics?
Commissioner, we would have to look into that and get back to you. We'd be happy to review what was brought to light most recently by Mayor Lago, and provide this board with the appropriate options on how best to proceed.
And is that something that we would do on the dais? Would we do that in a closed setting? I'm just wondering procedurally what we would do should the board have a desire to do anything at all.
Let us look into the different options, and depending on what option this board wishes to pursue, that may inform the decision on how best to proceed. But we would be happy to review and speak to each of you individually, so that should anybody want to move for, and take action further, we would proceed accordingly.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Regalado.
Thank you. Thank you, Jerry, for that. My thoughts were, Commissioner Gilbert, that this, at a minimum, an HR question, right? So what are the HR procedures for the Commission on Ethics? I mean, one of the things that's being stated is that there was a misuse of power and influence, and there was information that was revealed, right? And there's been some sort of misconduct. So, Jerry, I think we should probably start looking at the HR rules. The Commission on Ethics is a part of the county. So I think at some point we might want to consider maybe some legislative action to create a process. My understanding, I don't think there is a process for this type of thing. I would just say, we should start there. My recommendation would be maybe to speak to our attorneys and maybe pick a committee where this will be a discussion item, and there could be a conversation about the different opportunities. I also think the Commission on Ethics should be allowed to speak on the allegations also. So I think ideally you would have a discussion item where the mayor could come and where the Commission on Ethics can come, and they can vet this out in a public forum, and then we can consider our legislative options and learn from this instance once we investigate it.
Thank you, Commissioner Regalado. Commissioner Bermudez.
Yeah, I would just, to our attorneys, Jerry, because it is troubling what Mayor Lago has provided to all of us. But there has to be a timeline on this, because this body can be investigated also by the Commission on Ethics. And there's I know politicians don't like to hear the word investigation, but is there you're going to put a timeline on getting information back to us? I believe this is first handled by you, then handled by us. If we want to change the rules, we can change the rules. I personally don't think we can have a sunshine meeting. I mean, it had to be. In the shade meeting. There's no way you can get around a public meeting on this, and everybody's going to have to say what they got to say. Some people here have constantly said they don't even like the Inspector General. Personally, I think there has to be somebody to put us a stop to when any public official goes over. But this is different. This is disconcerting. You have an investigator who may have had gone over the line, and that is as disconcerting as the other way around. So, but when do you think you'll be able to get back to us so we can make a decision? Because I'm not necessarily, I don't want people to have the perception that that's a body that can actually investigate us is being eliminated, or we're making those decisions. If there are human resource rules that were broken, the way that Mayor Lago has described it and the documents he's given us, it looks like there is documentation that something might not have been done appropriately. So maybe you want to lay out in that analysis to us what our rights are dealing with, and I forget whoever, I think it's a former judge's son who heads it now. You may want to tell us what our options are. I know this was created. One of you probably will use your artificial intelligence to figure out what year it was created, but it was. This was created by this commission, and it probably could be eliminated by this commission, even though that would probably put us all in the firing line. So we probably wouldn't do that. So my question would be, actually, when can you get the report back to us? And I would like you to, if you're going to look at this from A to Z. Don't look at it from A to G, because it is, it is something that is concerning. It's just as I say that, my colleague that always talks about the Inspector General walked in, so that's okay.
Commissioner Gilbert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm not sure that it's us that it comes to. Budgetarily, we do control their budget. I think that probably when you're looking, you probably need to be looking at the Attorney General, FDLE, OIG. So, and if we find there's been misappropriation of misuse of funds, then we can act budgetarily. But I don't think we're set up to investigate the people. I don't think we're set up for that. But I do think that there has to be someone. There has to be someone. And so, and I appreciate the HR recommendation, but if there was a public records request and a record was not turned over, it's actually a violation of state law. So that allegation isn't an HR violation. That allegation is actually a very serious thing. We go through great pains in public records requests. We spend a lot of money every year to make sure you all have gotten those emails, those exhaustive searches we do in reviewing of documents. That obligation flows to everybody, not just us. So I think that somebody needs to look at it. We just need to know who. I'm pretty sure that unless it's budgetarily, it's not going to be us.
Mr. Vice Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I echo the sentiments of my colleagues. When I was a former prosecutor here in Miami-Dade County, I've had the opportunity of working with individuals within the ethics department, and I can just simply say that power and persuasion are real, especially when there is the power of subpoena, the power of the badge, and the power of perception. I just say we need to be very careful on how we address this matter. I do agree with the mayor that the Attorney General route may be one that we need to have that discussion with to see what future moves can be made. But for the record, let's be absolutely clear that this department carries lots of power and persuasion and can ruin careers at a drop of a dime if they were to put misrepresentations inside of a document and that document become a public document, thereby ruining everything that an individual has worked so hard to get. So I look forward, I'm here for it, and I just want to be part of whatever it is we're going to do. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. And thank you, Mayor Lago, for coming.